Design plays a big role in the perceived value and the real value of your online course. And if you're watching this, you're most likely not completely happy with the way it looks. And I know that can be really frustrating because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating this amazing course, and now it looks just eh. The good news is that the reason your course may look amateurish and unprofessional is most likely due to one or more of the most common design mistakes. Once you know what those are, they're a pretty quick fix and can have a massive impact on the overall presentation of your course. And that's exactly what we're going to cover in today's video. We'll take a look at the top 5 design mistakes and how to fix them, so your course design reflects the true value of your program. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and if you've been here before, welcome back to my channel. For the last 8 years, my business has specialized in online course design and development. And in just the past year, we've helped our clients generate over $65 million in revenue through their courses and programs. My mission's pretty simple, and that's to help entrepreneurs become a richer, happier, more fulfilled version of themselves by giving them the strategy and tools to build a better business model. A small thing you can do to help me out with that mission is to hit that like button below and subscribe so I can reach more people with this channel. I've also created a free community where I share more content like this, and if you'd like to join, you can click the link below in the description. So notice as we go through these points that consistency will be the theme of this video. Consistency is everything when it comes to design. And mistake number 1 is having an inconsistent or non-existent structure to how you're presenting your course content. Every lesson page is different. Some have videos, some have a bunch of text. There's multiple sections on the page talking about different topics. And there are 2 big problems with this. One is that it makes your online course look messy, but even more importantly, it confuses your customers. Organization is one of the most important parts of an online course, and a consistent layout reduces cognitive load on your users, meaning that they don't have to waste mental energy trying to figure out where everything is every time they go to a new lesson. When we design courses for our clients, we create specific page templates for the modules and lessons that are used throughout the entire course. I also provide these templates in my program Online Courses Academy. And the huge benefit that comes with using a template is that you're guaranteed to have every lesson designed and formatted the same way, lending itself to consistency. It also makes making changes so much easier because instead of having to make a change on every single page, you only need to do it in one place. Game changer. So let's take a look at one of my clients, Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's Digital Product System course. These are the templates that we designed for their course. We have the course homepage, the module template, the lesson template, and we also created a template for the bonuses. So the module template is used on every module and the lesson is used on every lesson. Now you may be thinking that this isn't going to work for you because all your content isn't going to be exactly the same for every lesson. But there's actually a lot of flexibility that's built into these templates that allows you to add additional content without losing the consistency that it provides. So you'll see that there's a section for worksheets, resources, downloads, and these are all pulled in on a tagging system. And then you also can add additional content to the page that will show up below the template if you definitely have to. But I would first recommend to consider how you might be able to structure the content to fit the template and the page layout that you already have. Because again, the more consistent that you can present the information, the better it's going to be for your design and also the user experience. Mistake number 2 is inconsistent typography throughout your course. And typography is like the backbone to your design. It's not just about making things look good, but when it's used properly, it creates a hierarchy to the content on the page and makes it really easy for your customers to understand the relevance and importance of each of the elements. Typography is one of the primary components that go into your brand style guide, which is like a rule book for your brand's design. And this is something that I dive really deep into in my online course makeover workshop, where we actually work together over 5 days to create a style guide for your online course. But as an overview, when it comes to typography, you want to choose a set of fonts that are used throughout your entire brand. Usually no more than 3 to 4 fonts. One font will be for your headings, one for your subheadings, and one for your body text. Then you can possibly add a 4th font that's an accent font, or I like to call it a personality font. And this is something that you use sparingly, but it can add some extra pizzazz to your course design. If we take a look back at the digital product system, you'll see that I use the accent font in the headings just for the first word, and I haven't used it anywhere else. So again, it's used sparingly, but it does make a big impact, I think, on the overall design, which I really like. Mistake number 3 is a big one in my opinion. I guess they're all important, but this one typically tends to irk me the most. And that's having an inconsistent, again, style for your images or having them clash within the platform. And this is one of the things that I think is really easy to fix, but can make a massive impact on the overall look and feel of your course. So when it comes to choosing imagery for your course, the good thing is there's not a ton of images that are used throughout the platform. We typically use a few more on the course homepage to provide a little bit more design and showcase the brand. But other than that, it's really just the thumbnail images and then possibly a hero image that's used on each of the module pages. So that's like a big background image where the title is usually overlaying. When it comes to choosing your thumbnail images, you really have 3 or maybe 4 different options here. The first is that you can use screenshots from your video. So you're actually taking a still image from the training video and then using that as the thumbnail. Pro tip, if you're gonna use screenshots, always remember to take a few seconds before or after you're done filming your videos and just smile so that you can use that as the screenshot for the thumbnail. Otherwise, it is nearly impossible, trust me, to find something where you're not looking like this. Case in point. The second option is that you can use real-life imagery from your brand. So probably similar to images that you have on your website or any other business or brand images that you've taken. Next, you can use a consistent graphic that is used on every thumbnail. So typically it will have an overlay, maybe your logo. And this still looks really clean and professional and can also save you a lot of time from having to find a unique image for each lesson. I personally prefer to have either the screenshot or the brand images, but it's definitely another viable option. And the fourth option is that you can use stock images. And this is the one that I think has the most room for error because it's really easy to make your course look cheap or unprofessional if they're not selected with care. One of the problems that happens a lot is that stock images are chosen that have completely different image styles. So it has like a certain filter overlay on this image, or one's more of a illustration type of image and another one is like a real life image. The next thing is that please, for the love of God, do not choose images that have outdated technology in it. That is the fastest way to make your course look extremely outdated because we're all using our phones and our computers and our laptops every single day. So people know instantly that that is an iPhone 5 and we're now on the iPhone 13, or that is a MacBook that's like 8 generations old. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. So be very careful about having the stock imagery with that type of tech in it. Now, if you do choose to use stock images, which is totally okay as long as it's done with intention, I do have some tips for helping you choose imagery that's going to elevate your brand instead of detract from it. The first one is thinking a little bit outside of the box. So immediately when we look for stock imagery, we typically are looking for images that reflect whatever the topic is of that lesson. And sometimes this can be really hard to find, especially depending on what your course topic is. And what will happen is you'll be selecting one image because it represents the course the best, even though it doesn't really fit with your style guide and your image style as well as something else. So one option to definitely consider, and it's something that I've used a lot, is that instead of trying to find imagery that represents the topic, instead think of an overall theme for your course that, again, makes sense, that's reflective of what it is that you're teaching and the topic of your program. And then think of imagery or some type of, again, theme that represents that topic. So as an example, if you were creating a course on meditation and you wanted the overall theme to reflect tranquility, peace of mind, mindfulness, something of that nature, some of the images that pop into my head are sunsets or beach or the water. And so you could choose a theme, which was sunsets or beach imagery, and then use that throughout the entire course. So it still has that overall, like the design is portraying the overall purpose of your course, but you're not trying to find images for your thumbnails on exactly like how to do a yoga pose or how to do breath work, because that can be really hard to find those, like I mentioned earlier. So it's definitely something to consider. Again, I've used that a lot and I really do love that strategy because I think it makes the entire course really come together as a whole, and as far as the design. Sometimes even more so than the screenshots and then the brand imagery. Another option is that if you're going to be using stock photos and you don't want to do the theme thing, then choose the images that you want and add an overlay to them, typically like a color overlay. Maybe your logo on top of it that had a really strong opacity, so it was kind of like barely there, but you could still see it. And then you can also add the title over that image, and that would be reflective on each of the different thumbnails. So if you take a look at the example, you'll see that these were a bunch of different stock images that I promise did not look good before the overlay was on them because they were completely different image styles. But when you add that overlay, it creates a really harmonious feel, and you can't even tell the image style really that was underneath it because it's just barely showing through. So that is definitely another really, really viable option for your stock images. Mistake number 4 is not having a consistent color palette throughout your course. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with your style guide. The colors that you use throughout your course are another main component of that style guide. And you should choose a few colors and use them throughout your entire brand. Typically, you're not going to have more than 4 colors used throughout your course and actually your entire brand. And that will be a primary color, a secondary color, a tertiary color possibly, and an accent color. Then you can also have a set of neutral colors that are used as needed for things like backgrounds, overlays, or adding depth to certain elements. Mistake number 5 is having poor navigation. And if you're thinking, well, what does navigation have to do with the design? That's not colors, typography, imagery, that's completely different. Trust me, it is totally design, because design isn't just about how something looks. It's more importantly about how it works and the overall user experience. And poor navigation can drastically increase customers' overwhelm or confusion. So at any point in time, your customers should be able to know exactly where they are in progression with the course and also be able to get back to anything that they need to without having to really think about it. So in our courses, we have progress bars, we have check marks for each lesson to show whether it's completed or not. There's probably 5 different spots where you can navigate the course without it looking overwhelming. Typically, we have one in the heading, one with a whole course outline on the sidebar, 2 at the bottom of the course where they can mark complete, choose to go to the next or previous, or return to the other module. And it looks very clean, professionally well designed, but our users never have to think about how to get back to where it is that they want to, or where they are and what they've already completed within the course. And the analogy that I like to use here is that it's like when you're driving someplace for the first time that you've never been, and you're trying to follow directions that aren't really clear, and you're driving, listening to the GPS, trying to look at the address, looking for the road signs, getting completely frustrated because you can't find what street you're on. You turn down a one-way street, have to quickly turn around before you have a head-on collision. Then you go the opposite way and have to go a mile out of your way before making a U-turn to return back. And by that time, you're just completely fed up. You're like, I just want to go home. That's what I think of when I'm thinking about customers not being able to navigate throughout the course or not knowing what they've completed and what they haven't completed. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're ready to dive deeper and take your online course to the next level, then I'd love to see you in my next online course makeover live virtual workshop, where we'll work together to create a style guide for your online course that elevates your authority and becomes a brand and design that you're proud to share with the world. Click the link below to find out more details, and be sure to watch this video next.